Hey, what is up, everybody? I'm John here from Black and Gold Weekly. We have a great show here, episode 5, coming your way with a fantastic guest. Just want to remind everyone this show is in partnership with Black and Gold Productions. Really want to thank those guys so much for all the support and supporting everyone here that's part of the Black and Gold team, including this show here. And today we have a great guest, someone who I've gotten to know pretty well through my main NHL channel, Off the Wall Hockey. It's Mr. Avi Hoffman. What is going on, man? Thank you so much for being here. Really appreciate it. And how are you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm in a good mood. The Bruins are playing well right now. I can't wait to talk some great Bruins hockey.
Yeah, absolutely, man. This is going to be a fun show. Can't wait to get it going. We've got plenty to talk about from this past week with the Boston Bruins. Huge series against the Flyers, playing Pittsburgh. They've got some great matchups coming up against Washington and then Philadelphia again next week. So a lot to get through. Before we get into it, I just have to mention to please check out the description of this video. You'll see 3 links down there. We have one for Boston Bruins gear, one for NHL gear, and one for NCAA college gear. That is the place to go if you are looking for anything, whether it be hats, t-shirts, hoodies, jerseys, any sort of hockey stuff, memorabilia, shirts, any sort of clothing that you want, all that kind of stuff. Down there in the description, the 3 links. Top one is Bruins, second one all NHL, third one is NCAA. Be sure to please check those out. But let's get into it here. Avi, Boston, what a week for them. Last week this show was largely about bashing the Bruins' inability to score and a lot of worry about how they were looking in their first 3 games. And all of a sudden, they've come out now in the last week, especially in that Philadelphia series, and things have exploded for Boston.
They've been killing it. Like they just found that first win, that big comeback in the third period, that just got them juiced up. Like this team rides on confidence, and when they're going, they're a hard team to beat.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm glad you brought up confidence because that is I think that is the switch that flipped for this team. The first few games, they looked like it was the beginning of the season, and they looked a little shaky, and it didn't seem to be all together there. And then all of a sudden, they got that huge comeback against the Flyers in the third period, and all of a sudden, everything seemed to just like that. And the Boston Bruins were back, and I think they started to play with that confidence.
Yeah, Studnicka got that first one in, then Charlie Coyle, and I love how the young guys are stepping up so far with the third and fourth line. They're looking strong, so we just got to keep going. The schedule only gets harder every day, so I'm loving how the coaches are doing it too with the lineups and everything. It's looking great.
Yeah, it's certainly been a strong start, and they seem to be getting stronger as we go along here. Man, you mentioned the young guys. It wasn't great offensively to start the season, but during that Flyer series particularly, talk about some of those young guys really coming into their own and starting to really contribute with this team. I mean, Studnicka getting that goal was huge, and now we're starting to see them feel more comfortable at the NHL level.
Yeah, Trent Frederick is killing it on the third and fourth line, whatever he's doing. He's kind of like a Wayne Simmons. He just goes out there, does what he's supposed to do. I love that young kid.
Yeah.
Jake Studnicka is not making any bad plays, just playing simple hockey. He has a decent skill set, but when he's just on his game, he's great. And I think Charlie Coyle's honestly been he's one of the veteran guys, but when he is stabling that third line, we need that for this team because we can't rely on the top guys every single night.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the getting that secondary scoring is a huge thing for this Bruins team. When they're relying on one line, they end up losing games that they should not lose. And when they get that secondary scoring, they can beat absolutely anybody in the league. So That's something that we've seen really start to pick up over the past couple games is that secondary scoring, and I think that's a huge improvement for the Bruins and a really big thing for them. And Craig Smith, free agent signing, comes in, finally gets on the board, starts putting the puck in the net a little bit, had that huge OT winner against Pittsburgh on Tuesday night. How have you liked Smith's game so far?
Um, so I think he had a lower body injury the first two games or
Mm-hmm.
something, not serious, but like then I think like him and Coyle are going to get better and better throughout the year. I think like he's just finding his rhythm. He's a goal scorer, and if he's putting some pucks in the net, keeps shooting well, he's going to be a big part to this team down the stretch when we need him the most. So I think he's a perfect third liner, and just keep doing his thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And he shoots the puck a ton. It seems like every time Craig Smith touches the puck, it's going on net. And that's something that the Bruins needed, particularly from a third line guy. Well, he's playing higher in the lineup now, but when everyone's healthy, he should be a third line guy. They needed that. They needed that secondary scoring. They needed that offense from their bottom six. And Smith is a guy that I think is really going to help that out a lot. And he already is, as we've seen so far. He's looked great, I think, now that he definitely seems healthy after a little bit of an injury issue at the start of the season.
Yeah, definitely. And like the PK and the power play units so far, nothing you can't complain about any of them. I think we're 34% on the PK, and we're like 92 on the 34% on the power play, 92% on the PK. It's crazy. And I would like to talk about how like are we missing Krug? Are we missing Showers? So I don't know if we're missing them too much right now.
Yeah, well, I was going to bring that up for sure. I
Yeah.
mean, special teams, I think, was one of the big questions for this team heading in without Krug and without Chara, because Krug quarterbacked the power play. Chara, as we know, was a stalwart on that penalty kill. And without those guys there, we really started to we definitely had questions about how would the special teams hold up, and now all of a sudden they're great on special teams, at least to start this season, and it doesn't seem like they've missed a beat at all. So it's really been good to see the young D step up and see this team be able to perform well on special teams as they always have without those players like Chara and Krug.
Yeah, I've been surprised how well Kevin Miller's been playing. He's moving so well out there. Lazon's doing his thing. Carlos still so steady. I think the defense really is like showing something with these young guys, like staying on. Like I miss Krug. He's still a great player. I think Grizzlick's doing a fine job. He's missed the past couple games, but I think Grizzlick can replace him pretty well. So.
Yeah, for sure, man. That decor, very young decor now, has really stepped up, and they're doing a good job. Lausanne, I think, looked a little bit out of place early as he was kind of trying to adjust to
Yeah.
that higher role in the lineup. But from the Islanders game on, I think Lausanne has looked absolutely fine. Zaboral's been really, really solid to start.
Zaboral's doing his thing. He's not turning the puck over, and that's all we need from him. Don't just get out of the zone. I'm loving what I'm seeing from him.
Yeah, exactly. Just don't turn the puck over. Don't make bad mistakes, and for sure, get that puck out of the zone, and that's absolutely massive for a young guy like Zaboral to not make mistakes and just make the smart play with the puck, and he's certainly done that so far. Kevin Miller, as you said, I've talked about a lot over these last few episodes. I'm shocked that he's been this good. I was not expecting it after he basically didn't play for 2 years. For him to come in and be kind of a veteran stabilizing force now on that back end with so many young players, I think is absolutely huge for this team, and it's really, really great to see.
Oh yeah, he's going to be so big down the stretch. He needs to keep playing like this because
Mm-hmm.
we need his leadership, we need his physicality, and you just got to keep bringing it every night.
Yeah, really, really hope that he can, one, stay healthy because that's certainly
Yeah,
been an issue for him over his career, and also can continue to play at this level. Because when Kevin Miller is on his game, he is a huge veteran piece to this decor, and he's proving early in this season how valuable he can be. The thing with him is he just needs to keep playing at that level and then make sure that he is healthy and staying on the ice. But he's an important guy now, especially with Chara gone, as kind of the old man now on that decor and on that back end.
Oh yeah, definitely. I think we know what to expect from Miller, McAvoy, Carlo. Like those three just gotta perform consistently.
Mm-hmm.
And I also like Clifton. Whenever a guy like gets down, I think he's pretty small, but like I think he does what he's supposed to do when he comes in. So I like him as a seventh defenseman if anyone gets hurt. So I think our defense is gonna, if they continue to play how they're doing with their confidence, we're gonna do well this season.
Yeah, definitely. I'm not as worried now seeing how they look a couple weeks in as I was to start the season. They've definitely put my mind at ease quite a bit here at the beginning of the year. Obviously, the series that the Bruins just finished against Philadelphia was one that they desperately needed, and it was a great looking series for the Bruins against the Flyers. Obviously, that huge comeback win in the first game, and then the Saturday game, they absolutely blew the Flyers out of the building and destroyed them 6-1. And I think Boston really needed that because they started their season 1-1-1, and it was a very inconsistent and shaky start where they didn't look all that great. And that's why, last week's show on here was kind of a pretty negative show because they didn't look great. And then all of a sudden against Philadelphia, bang, if the Bruins finally look like the Bruins are supposed to look. And this, I think, gives them a lot of confidence going forward.
Oh yeah, I think what showed against the Flyers was just like the mental toughness. Like this team knows they can be one of the best teams in the NHL. And like when Marchand and Bergie, when they're like going and they're like playing well, it just influenced the second line. Like I think the second line's been a little inconsistent. I think David Krejci needs to start doing a little more. And I'm loving what I'm seeing out of Nick Ritchie. Like I didn't like him in the playoffs last year at all. But, he's got 5 points on the power play, filling out well for Pasta so far. And if he keeps up staying in the penalty box, that was his one issue. So I think it was a big momentum shift against the Flyers. And we got on their heads. We got in Carter Hart's heads.
Mm-hmm.
He was really rattled. So it's a big win.
Yeah, absolutely massive couple of nights there against Philadelphia, and then it carries over into the Pittsburgh series that they're in right now. I'm recording this a day before it will come out, so we'll know what happens tonight on this Thursday game with Pittsburgh. But the first game Tuesday against the Penguins, nice overtime victory. Wasn't always pretty. They did have a lead in that game that they ended up losing, and Pittsburgh was able to tie it back up. But they come out with the OT win. Craig Smith scores a huge goal right at the end of overtime with just a few seconds left, and that's those like gritty style Bruins wins where they don't play their absolute best, but they still pull out the win. And those are huge for a team like Boston going down the stretch, as they need to pick up as many points against these opponents as they can.
Oh yeah, every point matters. Like even like when we lost to the Devils one time, we still got a point out of it. So I think Tuukka and Halak have really been carrying too. And now if the offense just continues to like score at least 3 or 2 goals a game, Rask and Halak, like, we know what to expect from them on most nights, and they're gonna keep us in the game. So if we just can continue playing with that energy, like the Penguins took it to us in the third period, absolutely took it to us. I think we're like missing a few guys. Jake got hurt in that game.
Yep.
So like we were getting a little tired, but we pulled it out, and that's what the Bruins do. We just got to find ways to win games. Anyone against the Pittsburgh Penguins is a good win. Doesn't matter how you do it.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, they don't ask, how pretty the win was. They just care that you got the 2 points. And that's what's really, really big for Boston right now, is picking up 2 points in as many games as they can. And we're seeing them climb the standings after that kind of even, inconsistent start. They're starting to string some wins together now, and they're starting to climb the standings. And Boston's a team. It was funny. I was doing some streams after, right at the beginning of the season, and after Boston lost to the Devils on that weekend game, and then they lost to the Islanders that Monday after. And I remember people in the chat were saying like Boston wasn't even going to make the playoffs and stuff. And I'm like, bro, it's been 3 games. Like, can we chill with the who's making the playoffs based on 3 games of action? And of course, as soon as people started saying that, the offense explodes. They kill the Flyers, and Boston's, climbing the standings now up to being in the top 2 of the East.
Oh yeah, and to like be fair, like the Bruins didn't play their best against the Devils. Just one quick, like
Yeah.
Blackwood was insane those first 2 games. Like he won one of those games for
Oh
them.
yeah,
Like
absolutely.
the Devils are looking solid this year, and that just shows that like when the two, like I think having one of the best goalie tandems in the league, or if not the best,
Mm-hmm.
it's going to go a long way in a short season like this. And we have like a good rotation. I don't think Rass is going to play over 30 games, right around there. So I think it's looking good. I also the one guy who I didn't like who showed out well against Pittsburgh was Chris Wagner.
Mm-hmm.
He sometimes play was like makes like a dumb penalty once in a while, but when he was playing with that physicality, just chipping the puck in, getting it down low, I think that was really key, and I like his physicality he's bringing so far this year because our top 2 lines don't really have that too much, but it's like a few guys who are really important to that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, Corrali's been Corrali, Wagner, Frederick all have played big roles in the physicality department for this team so far this season. Kevin Miller on the back end has been physical. And Charlie McAvoy, this goes back to last season. He's really started getting physical last year, but he's still like the jump from McAvoy from 2 years ago to what he did last season physically has been absolutely huge. And now he's again carrying that over into this season. And he looks like he's going to be a real shutdown D-man who is not afraid to throw a big hit when he has the opportunity to.
Oh yeah, McAvoy's ceiling is to the roof. Like he's just a hockey player. I don't like him sometimes being too physical because we need him healthy. Like sometimes he'll get dinged up a little, but when he's just moving the puck up the ice, I like seeing him on the second power play. Maybe even move him up to the first power play sometimes. That'll give him some more momentum. And he just brings like such an attitude to the team. Like Cassidy trusts him so much. He's playing like 23, 24 minutes a night. So he's everything to our team.
Yeah, absolutely. Clearly the number one defenseman now in Boston, and he is taking the reins as that top guy. And again, I think he has Norris Trophy potential in the future. I think, if he gets that offense going a little bit, he hasn't really scored a lot of points at the NHL level because I think he has focused on defense first and making sure that he's a responsible defensive player. But if he ever gets that offense going to where he can get up to like 50 points, 55, 60 points in a season, look out because he is going to be in the Norris Trophy discussion because both ends of the ice, I think McAvoy's ceiling is just, I mean, it's not there. He can be as great of a defenseman as he wants to be at the NHL level if he puts in the work.
Oh yeah, he's just a great passer. He's a good playmaker, and he can tee up the shot from the point. He's had some really nice goals in the past year and stuff. And I feel like when people are talking about him not scoring, he always like gets a point somehow. I think the last game against Pitt, he had 2 assists. I'm pretty sure. So he does what he needs to do, and that's so important for this team.
Yeah, absolutely. So this team seems to be rolling along quite a bit here, and they're going to be getting a huge reinforcement as well, as David Pastrnak is almost ready to return. He has been practicing for the Bruins in a full contact jersey, like full practice, ready to go. No more non-contact red jersey for Pasta. There is talk that he could be back as early as this weekend series against Washington, which we'll talk about more later. And he certainly should be back within the next week. If he can't play Saturday, I would definitely think that early next week he'll be back in the lineup for the Bruins. So Boston's playing pretty well right now, and they're about to get their best goal scorer back. What do you think the return of David Pastrnak is going to mean for this team?
I mean, when Pasternak's on the ice, everyone just has like a different jump in their game. Like
Mm-hmm.
he always has a smile on his face. Like he just And I think like we're 4-1 without him, and that's pretty impressive without one of our best players, if
Yeah.
not our best player overall on offense. Because we know he needs to score for us, and he's gonna do it. So I just love how our power play is playing without him, and it's only gonna get better. I think Brad and Marchand are just like they're playing so well without Pastrnak, and that's showing a lot. And they just play with a different juice when he's on the ice. He gives the fourth line. He gives everyone more confidence. So I'm so excited to have him back. It's going to be tough if he comes back Monday against the Capitals. They're a physical team, so he'll be ready to go. But I'm so excited.
Yeah, I'm really, really excited to see Pastrnak in this Bruins lineup right now. I'm glad you brought up like the jump and the energy that he brings because we talked about this on the show last week when Shannon was on, and a lot of time you think about those like energy guys being like your third and fourth liners, your physical players who kind of go out and throw a big hit or get in a fight to really lift up the energy and lift up the bench. But Pastrnak does it in a totally different way, but he still does the same thing where like when he's in the lineup, like there's just a different level of energy with the Bruins when he's out there, and just everyone seems to skate a little bit faster, hit a little bit harder, and just play with a little bit more jump in their step and a little bit more energy. And I think getting that back from getting him into the lineup is going to be absolutely huge for this Bruins team. Particularly, they've got some tough matchups coming up. So the sooner that he gets back into the lineup, I think the better. And I love the effect that having David Pastrnak has on this team.
Oh yeah, definitely. And I think like it's good we're being patient with him. Like it's a little shorter season. I think that helps a guy like Pastrnak. He deals with some injuries. Sometimes he's always banged up around playoff time.
Mm-hmm.
So just like getting him in, find our rhythm. We know what that top line's going to get their chemistry down in just a few, 3 or 4 games. So I think, and then we can have Krejci play with some better players. We need Kasha to get healthy and Jake to get healthy. So I think it's just going to make all the line. We can move Richie down to the third line with Craig Smith and Charlie Coyle. So I think with our defense playing this well and we get our top goal scorer back, I think we can win the division, no question, especially with our goaltending. He's got to knock off these next few games because I checked our schedule for the future. We have like a 10-game stretch where we play the Islanders, Rangers, and Sabres in like late February. So just got to keep it rolling.
Yeah, definitely. And, you talk about the lineup and what they're going to be able to do once they are fully healthy. I mean, we've seen quite a few different line combinations early in this season. Obviously, Pastrnak hasn't been there yet this year. They've had some other injuries issues as well, which is going to be the next thing I bring up. But when you look at this team, this lineup with everyone healthy, this has got to be one of the best lineups in the NHL. When you get Pasta back on that top line with Bergeron and Marchand, you get Jake and whoever on the right side of that second line with Krejci. It could be I don't know when Kasha could even potentially be back. Obviously, it looks like another concussion there with him, and he has a long history of head injuries. So that's not a great situation. But whether it's Smith, whether it's Studnicka, whoever you have on the right side there, you're rounding out your top six. But to get that second line back with DeBrusk and Krejci together, I think could be really, really big. And then it allows you to really have a solid scoring third line, which is something that would really, really benefit the Bruins if you get Richie down with Coyle and then, either Studnicka or Smith or Bjork or whoever's not playing up on the second line on that right side on the third line. That would be huge for Boston. And then you get that fourth line that started the year of Frederick, Corrali, and Wagner, which was an unbelievably good fourth line to start this season. I mean, this lineup here is looking good for Boston when Pasta comes back.
Definitely, no question. Like I think like this team, like we have like Studnicka who might not play some games when Pasta and Kasha are all back, but I think that shows like they're getting like some playing time now, and they'll be more ready. I think like our forward depth is actually like underrated this year. Like we have guys who can like fill in, and tonight will be a good test. Tonight we'll see how they do it. So we're missing Jake, so some guys are gonna have to step up.
Yeah, definitely. And that's the next thing I was going to bring up was all the injuries that the Bruins are dealing with right now. They've kind of got to rash of the injury bug here. So Grzelcyk got injured. Well, he first got injured in the Islanders game. Then he played again against Philadelphia and got injured again going into the end boards awkwardly. So Grzelcyk's going through some injury issues right now where he is day-to-day. Jake DeBrusk got injured in the Pittsburgh game on Tuesday night, and he's day-to-day. Andre Kasha, as I mentioned, dealing with what looks to be another concussion, which really wishing all the best for him because he has a long history with head injuries. And Tuukka Rask as well. He is supposed to be back on Saturday, but he's getting a full day off today. They're going to go with Halak as the starter and Vladar as the backup. Rask is getting a full day off, so he gets nicked up as well. Starting to, the depth of the Bruins is starting to get tested a little bit here.
Oh yeah, definitely, and it might show tonight. Tonight's gonna, if we can pull off the win tonight with all these injuries. I hope Grzelcyk's back tonight. Like he was like almost a 50-50 last game, so it'd be good to get him back tonight maybe. But we're gonna need like Linderholm coming up. He's gonna play tonight. Young guys to keep playing well and like be more consistent, especially down late in the game. I feel like when we have a lead sometimes now that showed the last few games that like we almost let the Flyers, even though we won 6-1, but we turned it on like really late. Like there's stretches in the game where sometimes for like a good 5 minutes we're like we don't know what we're doing. So I think we just gotta rely on each other, play our game. It's gonna be a good one tonight.
Yeah, I definitely think so, and it's gonna be a lot of fun to watch, as always when Pittsburgh and Boston meet up, and then big Capitals series coming up as well. But injuries certainly playing a role here for the Bruins. They're getting big reinforcement in David Pastrnak right when they need it pretty much the most here, if he can get back into the lineup in the next couple of games. But next thing wanted to touch on here was that Pittsburgh game a little bit deeper. OT win over the Penguins. Again, we don't know right now when we're recording what has happened for tonight's game, but by the time this comes out on Friday, we'll know what happens with this Thursday night game. But either way, even if Boston loses, to take 3 out of 4 against Philly and then Pittsburgh, that's got to be a win for the Bruins and a real boost to their confidence if they take 3 out of 4 against those teams. And hey, if they win tonight and take 4 out of 4 and you sweep Philly and Pittsburgh, that is a heck of a week for Boston.
Oh yeah, no question. Like these last 2-3 games were like huge. Like if we didn't win one or maybe got 1 point in one, this team could be looking at a whole different like it would be a must-win situation. Like this points I think are 9-9-9 for Philly, Boston, and the Penguins. So it's all going to be up there with Washington. The Islanders are still good. Every game counts in this division. So I'm liking what I'm seeing. I saw the Pittsburgh game. I think we showed like good toughness in the first 2 periods. Like we really played with that energy. We like chipped the puck in well. But the one thing we took 5 penalties and killed all 5 of them against the Penguins. PK, which they have talent. They have Malkin, Crosby, Jake Gutzel. So if we can continue to kill penalties like that, that's important. But we got to stay out of the box too. But that was the most impressive thing of the game.
Yeah, the special teams this year, I know we mentioned that earlier, has just been really, really good and almost surprisingly good because, Boston did lose some key pieces from their special teams units, and we weren't exactly sure how they were going to match up and how they were going to fill those roles on the power play and on the penalty kill. And so far, so good. I mean, their power play's been scoring a lot. Their penalty kill has been close to perfect this year. I mean, it hasn't been.
It's the best in the NHL, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I mean, it's been as close to perfect as you can reasonably get, and I'm kind of taken aback by it because they did lose such an important penalty killer in Zdeno Chara, and they did lose their quarterback of the power play in Krug, and it seems like these next guys are just stepping right up and filling those roles, and whether it's Grzelcyk, McAvoy, Carlo, Zaboro, Kevin Miller coming back has played a crucial role on the penalty kill. It just seems like they're all able to just step up and get the job done and do what they need to do.
Yeah, we're always gonna miss Chara, but I mean, as time has passed, like I think these young guys are like they're playing with confidence right now, and Chara still could be a great penalty killer. But I think McAvoy is like being a good leader. Chara taught him a lot.
Hmm.
Carlo, he's getting a little bit older. Grizzlick's like 26, 27, I think too. He's like so I think they know what to expect. I know what they can do. And I think like everyone's just playing their role right now. Like Grizzlick on the PK, Miller on the penalty kill, Lazon on the penalty kill, and we just got to keep it going because it's not going to get easy.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, And so we've talked about the injuries here. We've talked about Pastrnak coming back. We have got some guys out of the lineup right now, but we have DeBrusque could be coming back hopefully in the next few days. Grizzlick back in on the back end. We don't exactly know what's going on with Kasha here, but hopefully he's back. But eventually, when the Bruins do get healthy and they have a full repertoire of players that they can choose from, somebody is going to get left on the outside looking in. And I think for a lot of us at the beginning of the year, we thought it was going to be Nick Ritchie, but now Ritchie's actually come out and played quite well to start this season. Um, so now with Ritchie actually playing pretty well, um, who do you think that odd man out is going to be, and who's going to be the healthy scratch up in the with the forward group when Pasta and DeBrusque and Kasha all do eventually come back? Do you think it's does Studnicka maybe get pushed out? Does Bjork end up out? He hasn't exactly been in the good graces of Bruce Cassidy so far this season. Just who do you think it's going to be that ends up the healthy scratch?
It's going to be Bjork most nights. I think Stanika showed like he's a little bigger body. He's like he has the more skill. I think we've seen what Anders Borg can do. Like
Hmm.
he's not a bad player, but like he doesn't bring anything too flashy to the game. Like he'll play some fourth line once in a while, but when everyone's healthy, I think he'll be moving out of the lineup most likely. And I would like Stanika to get still a little more playing time.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's going to be Bjork as well. I think he's the guy that
Yeah.
I haven't seen a lot from him. Like he never has been able to take that next step. And
Yeah.
he's just kind of looks like a depth guy and until he proves that he can consistently add some offense, which he hasn't done at any point in his NHL career, I think he's going to kind of be looked at as kind of like an extra forward for this team.
Yeah, I agree. Like he's not anything bad, but like he's not anything good. Like
Hmm.
he's a solid fourth liner some nights. Like he can play the fourth line. He's gonna need to play big tonight. Maybe we need him to show him something tonight. Tonight's a big opportunity. So yeah, I think he'll be the odd man out. Or it could be Stanika. You never know with Cassidy, but it's gonna be one of those two definitely.
Yeah, I would certainly say so. I think, at least for now, Nick Ritchie has earned his spot in the lineup, and he continues to perform very, very well on the power play, racking up power play points. And, he's been that net front presence that the Bruins needed. I'd still like to see him play a little bit more physically. That's one thing that he hasn't shown a ton of this year. Although when they were playing the Flyers, he had a little bit of some pushing and shoving going on there with Philly at points. But man, for Richie to be an effective player, I want like a big power forward type game out of him. And he's bringing the offense this year. I hated him in the playoffs last year. I don't know why they were playing him. I thought he looked awful. I was ready to be done with Nick Ritchie at that point, but man, he's completely turned it around this season and looks so much better.
Oh yeah, Nick Ritchie has proven me wrong. Like he has like a decent skill set. You know, he can like he's not a he was just taking dumb penalties. He wasn't playing like with confidence. He was just doing what he wanted out there.
Mhm.
And now I think he probably had a good training camp. He's more locked in. He's just focusing on the little things. And he's playing with Marchand, Bergy, Grizzlick, all these guys on the power play, and he's just finishing them off in the net. And it's been huge for us this year. I think he'll be on the third line with Coyle and Craig Smith when it's all
Mhm.
said and done. And that line can be like physical. They'll have there's everything to it you need in the third line.
Yeah, I mean, doesn't that sound like a fantastic third line? Like on the left
Oh
side,
my
you've got a big physical power forward in Nick Ritchie. Down the middle, you have a puck
Paula
possession center with underrated offensive skills and very solid defensively as well in Charlie Coyle. And then on the right side, you've got a pure scorer and just shooter in Craig Smith. What a third. I mean, that's got to be up there with one of the better third lines in the league when they do end up together.
Oh yeah, I'm so excited for that third line, and that's what this team needs, and that's why I think some people are calling out, "Oh, the Bruins are done maybe this year. They're not making the playoffs." But I think in a shorter season, we got the best goalie tandem in the league, best line when it's all said and done, and the Lightning are also mentioning Kucherov, who I think is key, but the Lightning are still going to be the team to beat. But I think this team has the ability to win the cup this year, and it's a really on. I think Frederick is playing so well with Sean Corrali. He's so big, and I'm just loving what I'm seeing.
Yeah, I think this past week for the Bruins have really been the start. It seems like the first few games were the preseason for Boston. Like they were not ready to go out of the gate, but now after a few games and they've gotten, some wins under their belt, they're really starting to look like the Boston Bruins and how they should. And again, I'm laughing at those people that were saying, Boston's done or Boston's not going to make the playoffs after the first 3 games of the year. That really is any sort of
Yeah.
sample size to factor out over the course of the entire season. And that's pretty funny looking back on it now because it just seems ridiculous. Boston looks like they're a top team again this season.
Oh yeah, definitely. I think we'll finish top 3, definitely maybe top 2. If
Mm-hmm.
if we can get healthy mid-season, get everyone going, that's going to be key down the stretch. Getting some rhythm with our lines. I think we know what the top 9 are going to be pretty much, and then I think we know what the fourth line is going to be too. So I think we just got to keep going. The schedule coming up is going to be some great games, and if we can get off to a hot start, like the Bruins rack up wins when they're hot. So I'm so excited to get Pastrnak back, like you said, and this team's going to get even going more.
Yeah, definitely. Speaking about the look ahead here, we've got a big week of games coming up for Boston. They've got 3 games between now and next Friday when I'll be recording episode 6. So they've got a week set starting on Saturday with the Washington Capitals. That's going to be on Saturday and Monday, those 2 games. Now Wednesday they play Philadelphia again for the 3rd time this year. I guess we'll start with the Washington series here, as that would certainly make sense. How do you think the Bruins match up against the Capitals, who have been a team that Boston has struggled with somewhat throughout their, recent history? They don't beat Washington a whole lot, but it's a whole new year, whole new teams, new rosters for each side, and Washington's had some COVID issues of their own, which has had some guys out of the lineup. So, just kind of a preview of this Bruins Cap series starting on Saturday. What do you think this is going to look like?
For one fight at least, because this is gonna be a physical series. This is
Mm-hmm.
really gonna be on. I think like guys like Nick Ritchie, Sean Corrali. We're gonna need that Nika. He's probably still gonna be playing Frederick, and the Capitals. They got John Carlson. They've Chara back there still, and I think Nicholas Backstrom. He's having one of the best starts of his career. One of the most underrated players. The Capitals they play with a mindset to win, and they execute what they're doing. They don't really care about what the other team's doing. And I don't know if Alexander Ovechkin is going to be back. That'll be a big. But Capitals are definitely going to bring it to us, and we're going to need to play our A game because those are going to be some big games. That's either moving up to number 1 or
Mm-hmm.
maybe back down to 3 or 4. So those are going to be some big points coming up.
Yeah, absolutely. And a thing to note about the Capitals is they have still not lost in regulation yet this season. All of their losses have come in overtime or the shootout. So, they've been playing well, even without some huge players. No Ovechkin for the last few games, no Kuznetsov, no Dmitry Orlov, no Ilya Samsonov in goal. They're missing important players and they're still finding ways to win games. And isn't that just always kind of the way the Capitals are, where it doesn't seem to matter what happens, they find ways to win games?
Yeah, they have great Tom Wilson stepping up. They have so many guys who can just bring their energy to their game. And the thing about the Capitals is they just go out there and play their game. They're not trying to see what the other team's doing always. Like the Capitals think they can beat anyone, and that's
Mm-hmm.
showing so far. I think Chara is honestly helping them. He hasn't looked bad this year. I
Mm-hmm.
think he may be weird to see him first time against Bruins. So I'm so excited for that series. That's always great hockey, Bruins Capitals. And we're gonna need those points. I think it's gonna come down to really goaltending in that series. It's gonna be hard to put the puck in the net that series. So hopefully Rask is good for either Saturday or Monday, and we'll get our top goal scorer back for that too. So I think we'll be ready to go.
Yeah, I certainly hope so because, like you said, it's a big, big couple of games here with important points on the line. Bruins have a chance to take over first place in this division if they beat the Capitals a couple of times. At the same token, they could drop down to fourth or fifth if they lose both of those games in regulation and other teams around them win. So it's a big series, as is really every series this season. With every game being within the division, each game means so much. And there's big points on the line every single night, and that's certainly no different here against the Capitals.
Oh yeah, definitely. Like even if we can get a point, like let's say we lost and just got a point, like I think what's key this year, you want to beat teams in regulation because you
Mm-hmm.
get 2 points and they get 0
Yep.
points, and that's gonna come down to the end of the year. They just like if you can get like a lot of 5, 6, 1 point, you get 1 point OT loss. That's gonna be the difference for that fourth, fifth seed. Like I think we know who the top 5 teams are in that clearly, and one of them's gonna get left out between the Islanders, Capitals, Flyers, Penguins
Mm-hmm.
and the Bruins. So it's going to be a dogfight, and I think the way we're playing right now is going to be really good. I think we have our confidence going right now. We know we can beat the Capitals, and we just got to bring it to them for 60 minutes because the Capitals don't go away. They're a team. They get down 2 goals, they get one back, and they're right back in the game. So it's going to be a couple fun games coming up.
Yeah, absolutely. And the Capitals just have this relentlessness about them where they never give up on a game and they just always seem to be able to come back even when you least expect it. And they're getting much better goaltending, I think, than expected out of Vitek Vanacek, who has kind of been forced into the starter role now because of the COVID issues. So Vanacek's actually playing pretty well for Washington. They might have some of those guys who have been on the COVID list back for Saturday's game. I think Saturday was the first day that they're eligible to come off the list. So, there's
Yeah.
no guarantee they'll be there, but there is the possibility that Ovechkin could be back, Kuznetsov could be back, Orlov could be back. So, you could be getting reinforcements there for the Capitals, who have been able to win games even without them to this point.
Oh yeah, I think Kuznetsov, Alex Alexander-Ovechkin, I think they'll all be back Monday. Maybe not Saturday, but yeah, they're gonna even get more momentum when their best player comes back. So, or maybe I think John Carlson might be their best player, but they're gonna be absolutely ready to go. I think the Capitals know like this is actually one of their last years to go out and maybe
Mm-hmm.
win the cup. So because their team's not that young and they don't have too much of a future, so they're going all out in a short season. So we need those points.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's always a physical series with the Capitals, too, or physical games against the Capitals because they do not shy away from playing rough and tough hockey, and neither do the Bruins. And I think like you said earlier, guys like Nick Ritchie, guys like Trent Frederick, guys like Kevin Miller, they're going to have to really be physically prepared to go for this series because it's always really rivalry feel to it when the Bruins and Caps play each other, and it's always a heavy hitting hockey game.
Oh yeah, we're gonna need the fourth line might be the biggest key in that series.
Mm-hmm.
Like if we have the Frederick Corrali Wagner line, if that I think Cassidy will put that as a line for that series, or at least he should. They gotta bring the physicality back because the Capitals when they're getting in your head and they're like scoring like the Capitals are the hardest, maybe one of the hardest teams to be with a 2 goal lead. Like
Yep.
they're just so well balanced all around. They know what they're doing. Um, and if Alexander Ovechkin comes back, they're going to be scary because I think their PK has been really good too this year. And that And our PK has been really good too. So
Yep.
special teams could be big in that series too for some goals.
Yeah, absolutely. And then after playing the Washington Capitals twice on Saturday and Monday, they get the Flyers again on Wednesday. So that'll be the last of our little preview here. Um, Back up against Philadelphia, who we've already seen twice this year and already beaten twice this year. Um, I think that is in Philadelphia, I believe, because they came here for the first two. So I believe they're at Philly on Wednesday. Just any thoughts on that game and how the Bruins, should they pick up right where they left off against the Flyers, given the fact that they beat them already twice this season?
I think the Flyers will definitely play a better game. They're gonna be they're right back down the second, third right now in the standings in the division. So I think they're dealing with a few injuries, some big injuries that's
Yep.
hurting them a little too.
Yeah, for
They have
sure.
the injury bug, so they're gonna come at us full speed because Flyers Bruins we gotta win those games. Those are gonna be the difference head to head matchups. Who gets that second, third seed? I think the Capitals might get the one just to how well they're playing right now in a short season.
Hmm.
I think they're gonna get rolling. They know they want to go back to the cup just like in 2018, not too long ago.
Yep.
And the Flyers they're going to be ready to go, and they're just not. They need this win too as badly as us do. So I'm excited.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think we're going to see a much better looking Philadelphia Flyers team on Wednesday than we saw last week with them because they are dealing with injuries. Sean Couturier was out, then Morgan Frost came in to replace him, and he immediately got injured in his first game, and he's out. They lost Phil Myers off the back end. They haven't gotten as good a goaltending as I thought they were going to from Carter Hart, and it
Yeah,
wasn't looking great for Philadelphia, but I think, they got back on track with a win against the Devils. They play the Devils again tonight, and if they win that game, they'll have a couple wins in a row. And I think we're gonna see a much better Flyers team. They played poorly, particularly in that Saturday game. They looked awful against the Bruins. They're too good of a team to look like that on a regular basis. Like they're a talented team. So I think we're gonna get a much bigger pushback from Philadelphia this go around, and I look for that to be a really fun and really close game on Wednesday night.
oh yeah. I think the thing with the Flyers is when Carter Hart's not playing well, they're a
Hmm.
team you can beat. And when Carter Hart's on his game, he didn't look too good against the Penguins the first few games. That was
Hmm.
a little iffy. But when he's consistently playing well, they're one of the hardest teams to beat. Yeah, Sean Couturier, he's one of the most complete centers in the game. I want to say actually one of the not one of the most complete, but he just brings so much to that team. He brings the goal scoring they need.
Hmm.
So I think the Flyers they're always not going to be a team to play around. But I think the Bruins. I think we should win that game against them.
Yeah.
I think the way we're playing, I think we go in there definitely thinking we can win that game. And same do the Flyers. So it's going to make for a great game.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I think it's going to be a whole lot of fun on Wednesday night. So, big week here coming up for the Boston Bruins. They certainly get an A plus in my book for this past week for given how they looked in their first couple games and how down I was a little bit on them the first few games and based on the negativity of last week's show, then they just totally different. Got right back to being what the Boston Bruins should be this past week. Huge wins over the Flyers and Penguins, and we'll see what they do with this last Thursday night game against the Penguins. But even if they drop this one, 3 out of 4 against those two teams is a really solid week. And they got another big week coming up here with 2 against Washington and 1 against Philadelphia. The schedule does not get easy, at least not yet for Boston. Then I think after that they go into some easier games. We got Buffalo coming up here, not too far in the distant future. Rangers as well, who have had a really tough start to the season for them. Um, but at least for this week, it doesn't get any easier for the Bruins. The Capitals and Flyers are going to be tough matchups. So looking forward to those games. They're going to be a lot of fun to watch, and I can't wait to see how the Bruins do so we can talk about it on next week's show. But Avi, I want to thank you, man, so much for coming on and being a part of the show today. It was great talking Bruins hockey with you.
It was. I had a great time. The Bruins. It's always fun talking Bruins hockey. This team has the potential to go all the way most years. So I think this team's heading in the right direction. It's going to be a fun rest of the 45, 50 games that are left, and we just got to keep it rolling. Thank you for having me on, and let's go Bruins tonight. Let's pull off this dub. It'll
Hey,
be a big win.
absolutely, man. I appreciate you coming on, and definitely would love to do this again in the future if you have the time for sure. It's always great to talk hockey with a fellow Bruins fan, and that's gonna just about end things here for episode 5 of Black and Gold Weekly. Remember, this show is in partnership with Black and Gold Productions LLC. So huge thank you to all of them for their support of this show and all the great hockey content, multiple different podcasts. Lots of articles written on the website. Be sure to check out blackandgoldhockey.com. Fantastic Bruins website. And we're just going to keep seeing how the Bruins roll here, but they certainly had a great week this past one, and we're hoping that they can continue that into the future. So thank you guys all so much for watching. Thank you again to Avi for coming on the show and being the guest this week. Really appreciate all the support of this show that we've gotten so far and can't wait to keep seeing it grow. And like Avi said at the end, let's go Bruins. Hopefully they can pull out a big win here against Pittsburgh and then have a great week coming up against the Capitals and Flyers. But that's going to do it for this one, guys. Thank you so much. Remember to check out those links in the description to the Fanatics website for the Bruins gear, the NHL gear, and the NCAA gear as well. Every time you click on those links, it helps out Black and Gold Productions and is very much appreciated. We're going to say goodbye for now. We'll talk to you next week. I'm John from Black and Gold Weekly. Thank you, and talk to you soon.